Last week I was horrible. I was 3-13 last week. That's unacceptable. Total though since week 4 when I started keeping track of my record, we are 87-70 though. So we have been cooking. Last week was a real gut punch. Let's see how we respond. Can we bounce back? Back against the wall now. Back against the wall. We had our worst week of the season by far. One of the worst weeks gambling. And I've been gambling I'm 22 years old. I've been gambling since I was 17. So I was a senior in high school. That was one of the worst Sundays in my life. Let's see how we bounce back. Let's have some resilience. On the year, we're 87-70. Let's get into the 1 o'clock slate. Falcons at Colts in Berlin to start the morning. The Colts are 6.5-point favorites. The over-under is at 48.5. That is a high total for a Europe game. If you've listened to a lot of sports gambling shows before, you know that the Lunder is a real saying that goes around where you take the under in London, hence the Lunder. But the Falcons defense has cooled off over the last few weeks, and I'm very interested to see how Daniel Jones and this Indianapolis Colts offense responds because this Pittsburgh Steelers defense put on a clinic against the number 1 offense in football a week ago, turned them over 6 times. Daniel Jones was responsible for 5 of them, threw a couple of bad interceptions, a couple of strip sacks here as well. So I'm interested to see how Daniel Jones and this offense responds. And if there was anything that the Steelers put on tape on how to slow down Jonathan Taylor, and if the Falcons can use that as well, because JT averaged less than 4 yards a carry. It was his worst day on the ground on the season. So I wonder if the Steelers did something that the Falcons can pick up on to slow down Jonathan Taylor. And this Falcons pass rush, it's not as good as the Steelers pass rush, but they've got guys. Leonard Floyd is questionable. He's probably their best, most established veteran pass rusher. But Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., the 2 rookies, first rounders, have made an impact so far this season. So I do think they'll be able to get after Danny Dimes a little bit. The Falcons' run defense, kind of suspect. It's spotty. It's here and there. It's not exactly horrible, but it's not great either. Slightly below average. My gut's telling me to go with the Falcons to cover here, but I do not have a good gauge on this game whatsoever, so I probably won't bet it but for the picks. But for the purpose of the video, because I'm giving a pick for every game, we are going to go with the Falcons plus the 6.5. I just don't have a lot of faith in Danny Dimes' ability to bounce back here. That's really where my gut's telling me. He had his worst game of the season. I don't think the Falcons pass rush will be as much of a factor as the Steelers pass rush did, but they really did crack down on Jonathan Taylor. Part of that does have to do with the Colts playing from behind in the second half, so they really couldn't rely on this run game. They had to abandon it. And when you abandon the run game, you put the ball in Daniel Jones's hands. That's what happened. Do I think he'll turn the ball over as much? Probably not, but this Falcons defense has been opportunistic. They do have one of the best pass defenses in football, so we will see. I love the Falcons to cover here, but I do think the Colts pull out the win. It is really the season's on the line here for Indianapolis as well, or for Atlanta, excuse me, as well. So I do like the Falcons in a kitchen sink game, but it's hard to project this Falcons offense, especially with the inconsistencies with Michael Penix. Their offensive line has been fantastic. They allow a bottom 5 sack percentage. So Michael Penix has been protected. This Colts defensive line is good. I don't think it's great, even though they do have pretty good pressure numbers. They do get after the quarterback a little bit, but they haven't played particularly great offensive lines. Leatu Latu had a breakout game last week with 2.5 sacks against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Steelers O-line stinks. The Chargers O-line is not good. The Raiders and the Titans twice. That'll give you some favorable defensive line statistics. Obviously, the big trade now, they have Sauce Gardner in that secondary, so it instantly better. Sauce Gardner usually, as a Jets fan, I can tell you, Sauce Gardner usually does better against big physical receivers like a Drake London, who just enjoyed a 3-touchdown, 100-yard game against the New England Patriots. 3-touchdown, 2-touchdown? I think 3. He had a monster day against the Patriots. Sauce Gardner usually does pretty well against those big physical receivers because he is a tall guy himself and he is a very physical corner. So I think Drake London could be in for a little bit of a rough day if Sauce does follow him around or whenever they are matched up against each other. That being said, though, I don't. 6.5 is a lot of points, especially with the offensive performance we just saw the Colts put on last week, and with the way Daniel Dimes, I said, like, that's weird. Anyway, let me take a water break here. I don't know. This game's tough for me to get a gauge on, but I've been riding with the Falcons all season. It's worked in some cases. It's absolutely killed me in others. I like them here. I do like them to cover here. I think the game goes under as well, but I wouldn't bet that either. And I'm not going to bet them to cover, but if I had gun to my head, I had to choose, I would choose the Falcons. All right, we got the toilet bowl. Browns at Jets. The Cleveland Browns are 2.5-point favorites. The shit bowl. I don't think this Jets defense has a chance to stop Quinshon Judkins, especially after losing Quinnen Williams, who was the heart of this defense. They demoted Quincy Williams as well, so it's going to be a rookie, and Jameen Sherwood getting the start at the linebacker position. The Jets had one of the worst run defenses in football last year. Jameen Sherwood is the starter. He gets a lot of tackles, but it's not really a lot behind the line of scrimmage. They're not good against the run. This Browns offense goes through Quinshon Judkins. So I like and the Jets are going to have left tackle Olu Fashanu, who started less than 15 games. He's in his second year now, lined up on Myles Garrett. And Olu's been pretty solid considering he's still a baby in this league, but not against Myles Garrett. He's going to eat him alive. So I don't like this Jets offense to be productive against one of the best defenses in football. But there is an absolute free bet for this NFL Sunday. The line for Garrett Wilson's receiving yards is currently at 55.5. That is an absolute galaxy play here, ladies and gentlemen. Garrett Wilson, 55.5 receiving yards. He's gone over that in every single game except the Denver Broncos one. And as good as this Browns defense is, they've given up monster days to number one receivers. Maybe not monster days, but good days to number one receivers. DK Metcalf had 95 yards when he played the Browns. Amon-Ra had 70 yards, 2 touchdowns when he played the Browns. Zay Flowers had 75 receiving yards when he played the Browns. Justin Jefferson had 123 receiving yards when he played the Browns. Mac Hollins and Kayshon Boutte both had 75-plus receiving yards when they played the Cleveland Browns. You're telling me you're going to get Garrett Wilson over 55.5 receiving yards, and it's almost at even money. It's minus 105 on Fanatics right now. That is an absolute whale play. That is a take out the mortgage, put it on Garrett Wilson, 55.5 receiving yards. He has gone over his receiving yard total, and I'm pretty sure 4 out of 5 games that he started so far this year, or 5 out of 6. However, he's only missed it in 1, and it was the Broncos game. So Garrett Wilson, 55.5 receiving yards, unbelievably free against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. You take that all day long. That is the best prop bet of the year. Player prop of the year, I'm telling you. Take it, take it, take it. And I'm also going to be taking the Browns minus 2.5. I won't actually bet it because I don't bet against the Jets, but that is the smart money. Giants at Bears. Chicago is 4.5-point favorites. The over is 47.5. Jackson Dart has been absolutely incredible so far. I really do think the Giants have a good chance against the Bears. I really do, because the New York Giants have found their quarterback, because Jackson Dart has been unbelievable so far. He took over as the starter in week 4 against the Los Angeles Chargers, won that game, by the way. And in only 6 games, keep in mind, Malik Neighbors got hurt as well against the Chargers. In 6 games, he has 1,200 yards, 15 total touchdowns, 10 through the air, 5 on the ground, and 3 interceptions. And 2 of those interceptions came in just 1 game, too. The Giants are on a 3-game losing streak, but it's not because of Jackson Dart. That guy has been unbelievable. His movement in the pocket, his accuracy down the field. Theo Johnson dropped a few balls last week as well. This Giants defense has been horrible on this 3-game losing skid that they're on. They're allowing on average 35 points per game. The Giants play the Bears on Sunday. The Giants are 4.5-point underdogs. I think they cover that. I think they have a chance to win outright, because this Bears defense is absolutely banged up, and it's just not that good in general. They are bottom 5 in yards allowed per carry, and they allow the second most yards per pass attempt. So they're not good against the pass. They're not good against the run. They don't have a pass rush. And this Giants offensive line, since getting Andrew Thomas back, has been solid. Kevin Byard, TJ Edwards haven't been in practice all week. Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson are on IR. So I think the Giants have a better quarterback than the Chicago Bears, and I think their defense is healthier. I think this game goes over 47.5 as well. I love the Giants to cover, and I'm going to sprinkle them on the money line a little bit. Jackson Dart's been unbelievable so far. He's just on the Giants, so nobody's giving him his flowers. So I like Dart to go off against this banged-up Bears defense, and the Giants defense hasn't been that good either, but Paulson Adebo is probably going to be out, but you get Cordell Flott and Javon Holland. They've been in practice this week. They do have an elite pass rusher in Brian Burns, who's looked like the best edge rusher in football, not named Myles Garrett so far this season, and I understand Nick Benito's having a great year too, but all of the other guys on that defensive line alleviate some pressure from Nick Benito, whereas Dexter Lawrence is a great player. He hasn't been that good this year, and that's just not me saying that. Friend of the program, Max Montana, also said that, and I've been seeing that. I'm in New York sports Twitter. I'm in New York sports Twitter spaces, not really on the Giants side of Twitter, but I have seen that narrative that Dex hasn't been exactly the most productive. Kayvon Thibodeau is still a good player. Dexter Lawrence is still a good player. He's not the guy he was last year when he had like 12.5 sacks in 10 games or something crazy like that. Brian Burns has been better than Nick Benito so far this season. I'm going to say it. But I like Dart to go off on this game. I think the Giants defense is actually going to be better than the Bears defense with the unit that they're fielding this week, but compared to the unit the Bears are fielding, if Cordell Flott, he's been nice, he stepped up his game for sure, and if Javon Holland play compared to this Bears defense without Kyler Gordon, without Jalen Johnson, without Kevin Byard. That's the three starters in their secondary, and they're three good ones too, because Tariq Stevenson ain't it. And then without TJ Edwards as well, their best linebacker. I like the Giants a lot in this game. I love the over too. Two banged up defenses that aren't really good to begin with, and two offenses that are led by quarterbacks that are ascending a little bit, particularly Jackson Dart. I think they have the better quarterback in this game. So I love the Giants to cover here. I am a Bears hater, so maybe there's some bias in that. Just I can't stand Ben Johnson because of what he did to my New York Jets. Now he refused to even interview with them. Ridiculous. But he has looked good so far, so I do have to give him some credit. But yeah, I like the Giants in this spot here. Bills at Dolphins. We'll keep this one short here. Let me get a sip of water, though, real quick. But the Bills are 8.5-point favorites. Ugh. All right, the Bills are 8.5-point favorites here. Josh Allen owns the Dolphins. And when I do these, I try to play devil's advocate to like the favorite in a way, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of ways that Miami can win this game. And if they get out to an early lead and they can establish the run, then they have a chance because the Bills' defense can't stop the run. Devon Achane, obviously one of the most efficient backs in football. The Bills are allowing 5.4 yards per carry. So there is a chance here if the Dolphins can get out to an early lead, establish the run, Tua doesn't turn the ball over, and they make Josh Allen play from behind a little bit, then they have somewhat of a chance. I don't see that happening. They just traded one of their I don't even think he's there. Jalen Phillips, like, he wasn't better than Bradley Chubb. Is he better than Chop Robinson? Probably, but I'd rather have Chop Robinson on my team. That's neither here nor there. The only threat in the passing game that the Dolphins have is Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane out of the backfield. But either way, rookie Maxwell Harrison has impressed in 2 starts. He has the speed to keep up with Jalen Waddle. That's a matchup to look out for if they ever get matched up on each other. But if the Bills do stop and contain Achane, they'll be able to stop this Dolphins offense because that's been the real Achilles heel for this Bills team is their inability to stop the run. So the Dolphins defense, they're not going to stop anything against this Bills offense. They have one of the worst run defenses in football, one of the worst pass defenses in football. Even if James Cook doesn't play, I trust Ty Johnson and Ray Davis to run the ball efficiently. I think the Bills get to an early lead. I think they blow them out. I think the Dolphins have to abandon the run, and then when Tua throws the ball a bunch, he usually turns it over. So give me the Bills to win by a couple of touchdowns here at 8.5. Ravens at Vikings. The Ravens are 4.5-point favorites, and I'm all over them. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know how I feel about the Baltimore Ravens, and that doesn't change. I love the Ravens in this game. Quarterback matchup, J.J. McCarthy versus Lamar Jackson. Who are we taking? And I will give credit to the Vikings defense. They stepped up in a major way versus Detroit, holding Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to under 4 yards a carry. I think it might have been under 3.5 yards per carry combined. I know Gibbs did not have an efficient day on the ground at all, and David Montgomery fumbled as well. So the Vikings defense stepped up in a major way, but the run defense has been very inconsistent for Minnesota. Bijan gashed them. Quinshon Judkins gashed them. So we will see what happens with this defense. It's a very week to week on their production. I think playing a team like the Lions that they are very familiar with as a division opponent helps them. But I think the best bet on Sunday has to be the Baltimore Ravens -4.5, man. The Ravens are going to be a tough out for anybody at this point, playing with their season on the line. Lamar Jackson playing with his season on the line. Baltimore's defense was still iffy against the Dolphins, who they did move the ball well, but the Ravens did one thing they were unable to do before the bye week, and that was they got stops when they needed them. They created turnovers when they needed them, and then Lamar Jackson in this offense is all the way back. I think they're a top 5 offense in the league going forward. And the total in this game is at 49.5. So that'll tell you that Vegas expects this to be a very high scoring game. Who are you taking in a shootout? Lamar Jackson or J.J. McCarthy? And more importantly, all of the sharp money is on the Baltimore Ravens early in the week on Wednesday. Sharphunter.app lets us know what the sharp money is on, and they are all over the Ravens with a money bag score of 2. The more money bags, the better. And the way they come up with this model is the Sharp Hunter tracks all of the public bets. The same analytics people that work for CBS Sports work for Sharp Hunter. They track all of the public bets. They pick and choose and see who the best bettors are, and they see where they're putting that money. The more money bags, the more confident Sharp Hunter is that bet is going to hit. Ravens -4.5 has a few money bags. It's going to smack. Take it and take it with the confidence score of the 2 money bags. Use code FIRE50 on sharphunter.app for a 50% off your first month with Sharp Hunter all over the Ravens this week. Let's fucking go, baby. The Sharps are on the Ravens. I'm on the Ravens. You need to be on the Ravens too. The Vikings do not stand a chance. I think that was a much better for the second time reading through it. You can probably tell at the end, like I get a little laggy, but we'll see. All right, my favorite game of the week. We are going to learn so much about the New England Patriots. We are going to learn so much about the New England Patriots. They are traveling to Tampa Bay to take a Bucs team coming fresh off of the bye. We will learn so much about this Patriots defense that since getting Christian Gonzalez back has been pretty much lights out, allowing basically 18 points per game since Gonzo came back. I think it was like week 3 against the Panthers. But I do like the Patriots in this game. I do. Pains me to say that, but I think this Patriots offense matches up so well with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense because the Bucs are bottom half of the league in pressure rate, but they are 5th in blitz rate. So what does that tell us? That tells us they don't generate a lot of pressure unless it's simulated, unless they're blitzing. And they blitz more than 27 teams in the league. Now, why is that important? Because the Patriots' weakness, their Achilles heel, and I think it's going to come back to bite them later on in the season, in December and January, is their offensive line. But the Bucs don't generate a lot of pressure unless it's simulated. The Patriots allow the second highest sack rate in football. They can't protect Drake May. The Bucs don't generate a lot of pressure unless they're blitzing. So I like the Patriots in this spot here. It should be valued more of a pick 'em, I think, and you're gonna get the Patriots at plus 2.5 on the money line as well, the plus like 150. So I think you take the Patriots. I don't know if they're plus 150. Let me double check that real quick. Let me double check, but that seems about right if they're 2.5 point dogs. But the point is, like, I think it's closer to a pick 'em, and you're gonna get the Patriots at plus money. Plus, I think the offense matches up well. This Patriots offense is going to get exposed against teams that have very good pass rushes. I don't think the Bucs have a very good pass rush, especially unless they're sending the blitz, which maybe Drake May is gonna see. Drake May is definitely gonna see some shit he hasn't seen before with Todd Bowles coming off the bye. But is he gonna see like how many blitzes are gonna have drawn up where they're gonna completely stop this Patriots defense? I guess if it is coming down to the wire and he brings one out and then when they need a stop, I guess that could be a play here. This game's very iffy to me. I will here. Yeah, okay, no, the Patriots are plus 120, not plus 150. Here's what I'll say, actually. Bucky Irving didn't practice on Wednesday, so I don't know when you guys are watching this, but I'm recording this on Wednesday. The Pats do have one of the best run defenses in football, but they have allowed some big plays in the passing game. We saw it last week with Drake London. Emeka Buka and Baker Mayfield could be in for a pretty big day coming off of the bye. Emeka's receiving line, by the way, at 70.5 receiving yards. I will be taking that. I like the Bucs passing attack. I don't know about the Bucs run game, especially if Bucky Irving plays and Rachaad White doesn't, because Bucky Irving has 3 plays of over 20 yards so far this season. He did it in 4 games. Rachaad White doesn't have a single play over 4 yards, over 20 yards, excuse me, so far this season. So here's what I'll say. If Bucky Irving plays, give me the Buccaneers. If Bucky Irving doesn't play, give me the New England Patriots. That's where we'll go with this game. The Patriots seems like the smart bet because I think this game should be closer to a pick 'em and you're getting them at plus 120 on DraftKings. So it might be plus. It's probably the money line's probably more. You can get juicier odds on other books, I feel like, but that's where my head's at with this game. I'm very excited to watch this game. I'll probably take the over too. I think we could get a real shootout here with Baker and Drake May. I don't know if Booty's playing either. That'll be important. Booty went down and the Patriots only scored 3 points in the second half. He does provide a deep, like he is a deep threat. He does make the defense guess. And with Drake May's accuracy on the deep ball, which is due for regression, by the way, absolutely due for regression, that definitely strikes some fear in the defense. So not having Booty in there, who else do they have to fill that role? I guess Pop Douglas maybe. Kyle Williams is a guy I was absolutely sold on coming out of Wazoo. In the draft process, wanted the Jets to get him so bad. We haven't really seen him make an impact yet this year. I don't know if he has a catch. I don't know if he's been on the field, but if Booty doesn't play, Kyle Williams is a guy to look out. He can fill that deep threat role. So we will see, but yeah, let's move on here. New Orleans at Carolina. We will keep this short and sweet. If Rico Dowdle plays, you take the Panthers. If Rico Dowdle doesn't play, you take the Saints. And I understand if you look at Tyler Shuck's box score from last week, you're going to think he stinks. I promise you, I watched that whole game because I had an unhealthy amount of money on it, and that game fucked me over so hard. The Saints fucked me so incredibly hard. It was illegal. It was, listen, let's not get graphic here. But what the Saints did to me can be compared to something a man did, and his name rhymes with Bosby. Okay? That's what they did to me last week. Tyler Shuck not his fault. I don't put any blame on Tyler Shuck. He was driving down the field. He literally got the ball at the perfect number where if he drove them down the field and they passed the ball for a touchdown, the over on his passing yards would have hit. 3rd and 5, Jawan Johnson drops the ball, would have extended the drive. 4th down, nobody's open. Shuck throws a pick, whatever. That game was not his fault. I think Shuck's feisty. I think Shuck is a decent quarterback. I think he's going to let it rip. He did throw a lot of bombs, but none of them were completed because nobody could get any separation. And the Rams defense was a lot better than I gave it credit for. This Panthers defense is not as good as the Rams defense, so I do think the Saints will have better luck moving the ball. But the bottom line is the Panthers are 3-0 with Rico Dowdle as their starting running back. He's averaging over 5.5 yards per carry. He's top. I think he's 3rd in the league in rushing yards, and he's only started 3 games for the Panthers this season. If Rico plays, because he was questionable, he's questionable. If Rico plays, take the Panthers. If he doesn't, take the Saints to cover. Jaguars at Texans. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take a sip of water here because this Texans defense isn't getting the love it deserves. The Houston Texans not only have the best defense in football this season, so far they've had one of the best defenses we've seen in the last 20 years. The Texans defense is allowing just 15.1 points per game. The only defense to allow less than that in the last 10 years was the 2019 New England Patriots. The Texans defense is allowing 267 yards per game. The only defense to allow less points than that in the last 15 years is the Legion of Boom Seahawks in 2014. It's just this Texans offense is an absolute joke, especially without CJ Stroud now, that nobody's talking about how nasty this defense is. And it's really been one of the best defenses we've seen in the last 20 years. Literally in my lifetime, one of the best defenses we have seen. They are 1st in total defense, 1st in scoring defense. They've created the 4th most amount of turnovers. They're 3rd against the pass, and they're 5th against the run. This Texans defense has been absolutely unbelievable. It's just the offense absolutely sucks. It's just been a dreadful experience watching this Texans team play offense. But they have not allowed a single team to score over 20, besides one, the Seattle Seahawks. And it's not like they've had an easy schedule either. They've had a first-place schedule. And they play in a division with the Colts. They haven't seen them yet. We'll see really how good this defense is then. But if they keep up at this rate, and they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be really sad because this is one of the best defenses in football. When I was going back and looking at their numbers compared to some of the other defense, the only guys that really showed up until I got to like the early 2010s, until I got like to the late 2010s, the only guys that showed up were Legion of Boom and Bill Belichick. Those are the only guys. That's the type of level this Texans defense is on. They got some absolute studs. I think they have one of the best. I think they have the best, second best corner in football. I think they have a top 5 edge rusher in football. They're really unbelievable. And what the unsung hero of this Texas defense is Henry Ototo, Azeez Al-Shaair. And I said that all off season. I said that all off season. This Texans defense is going to be gross. They got a great pass rush. They got a great secondary. But these linebackers are so versatile. They do so much with them. They're all over the field. They are the unsung heroes of this Texans defense. Everyone wants to talk about Will Anderson and Derek Stingley. Rightfully so, 2 elite young players. But linebackers are nasty. Kamari Lassiter, also very underrated second-year corner. This Texas defense is gross, and it's not fucking going anywhere either. All right. But yeah, man, they're the real deal. And if they won last week, I think they win it. I don't trust this. I think they're winning this week with Davis Mills. I don't trust this Jaguars offense at all. When they can't establish the run, the offense doesn't move the ball. They didn't run the ball against the Saints, they didn't run the ball against the Rams. They got blown out. They didn't run the ball against Seattle. They lost. They're not going to be able to run the ball against the Texans. And even though it's Davis Mills, give me the Texans. Davis Mills on a week of prep time. What do you know about him? All right, but that'll do it for today's episode. If you're watching on the YouTube, we will get into the 4 o'clock games now. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. These episodes usually do pretty good. So if you're here and you don't follow, make sure you hit the follow button. I go live every day around like 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, somewhere around there. Make sure you guys hop on the TikTok. You can join the live. The lives get pretty active. We have some absolute beauticians in that chat over there. I don't know if any of them have funneled over here to the podcast, but Sam, if you're listening, you're an absolute G. I want a taco, real guy's username. If you are listening, you are an absolute G. Who else we got? Jacob, if you're listening, you're an absolute G. Yeah. It's cool having a little, like, there's guys, G5, if you're listening, yeah, absolutely. There's guys that like come and listen to me every day on the podcast, and that's or on the live, and that's what makes it cool. That's cool about a live stream. You got the same people interacting in the chat. You just talk to them every day, just hang out with the boys. So it's good stuff. Make sure you hop over. Thank everybody for listening, man. I'll catch you guys all in the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast. 4 o'clock slate. Let's get into it. 4 o'clock slate in Sunday Night Football. Cardinals at Seahawks. Seattle are 7.5-point favorites. Obviously, the Seahawks defense is elite. They're third in yards per play allowed, third in scoring defense, fifth in pressure rate, and third in sacks. So their defensive line is getting it done, and their secondary has been very good as well. Arizona's offensive line is awful. Jacoby Brissett got sacked 5 times versus Dallas, and everybody's going to talk about how good this Cardinals offense has looked with Jacoby Brissett. It hasn't exactly been electric. Like, they're 1-2, and the only game they won was the Cowboys game. But Jacoby, the passing offense has looked better than it did with Kyler Murray. I don't think the Cardinals have a chance in this game. I don't, and I understand it's a divisional game, so usually they're a little bit more tight. So 7.5 points in a divisional game is a lot, but Seattle is at home. And I don't think it's ridiculous to say Sam Darnold is an MVP contender, MVP dark horse, because this Seahawks passing offense has been the most efficient in football. They're averaging 8.9 yards per pass attempt. That would be the highest in NFL history. The Seattle Seahawks passing offense led by Sam Darnold. Darnold is 7th in passing yards, but 24th in pass attempts. Nobody in the top 20 of the NFL in passing yards has less pass attempts than Sam Darnold. Sam leads the NFL in 40-yard completions and 50-yard completions. He's averaging the most air yards per pass attempt out of all quarterbacks with 100 or more pass attempts, and he is top 5 in completion percentage out of all quarterbacks with over 100 pass attempts. So he is throwing the ball less than a lot of quarterbacks, but still throwing it deep more than any quarterback in the NFL per pass attempt, and he's still top 5 in completion percentage. So not only is he barely throwing the ball, when he does throw the ball, he's stretching it down the field more than any quarterback in the league, and he's still completing over 70% of his passes. Sam Darnold, if he can continue to stack performances like we saw on Monday Night Football against the Commanders, granted, you're not going to play the Commanders every week, but if he can get those touchdown numbers up, maybe chill out on the interceptions just a little bit, and keep playing at the way that he is playing, he should absolutely be in MVP conversations to end the season. I think he's a good dark horse here. I'm not saying go and mortgage the house on it, but I'm saying he has been playing some tremendous football, top 10 quarterback, dare I say, elite quarterback stuff from Sam Darnold so far this season. So for all those reasons, I love the Seahawks at home here to cover the spread. This is going to be a short episode. I'm just realizing that. This is going to be really short. We're 9 minutes in, and I already have 3 games to go. That's fine, though. That's fine. Lions at Commanders. The Commanders inactives for this game: Jaden Daniels, Luke McCaffrey, Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise, Marshawn Lattimore, Terry McLaurin, Trey Amos. Trey Amos and Terry are not inactive. They're both questionable, but all those other guys are inactive. The Commanders have lost 3 straight games by more than 20 points. The Lions have covered the spread better than any team in the NFL going back to last season. I don't think it's different here. The Commanders are reeling. They don't have their starting quarterback. The Lions are coming off of a loss, and the Commanders simply don't have a pass rush, especially with Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise, and company. Yeah, they do have Preston Smith, Javon Kinlaw. They're not moving the needle too much from Von Miller, obviously, but that guy's a fossil. I would like to give a shout out to Jacob Martin, because the Commanders have been on prime time 2 straight games now, Monday night against the Chiefs, and then Sunday night against the Seahawks. And we've been hearing Jacob Martin's name a lot. How old is this dude, Jacob Martin, the pass rusher? Because I heard that guy's name more than anybody on this Commanders defense over the last 2 primetime games. Granted, I wasn't that locked into the Seattle Seahawks Commanders primetime game after, as I was just it was a bad Sunday for me. If you listen to that episode, you know exactly why that was a bad. I lost all my money tonight. I've got $35 wagered on Garrett Wilson. That is the last money that I have in my books across all 3 of them. That's not ideal. Not ideal. I got absolutely eviscerated last Sunday. Emptied me out. College football's also been kicking my ass. I'm addicted. I have a problem. Absolutely have a problem. What are we doing to address it? Absolutely fucking nothing. I'll probably be making a deposit. Garrett Wilson's receiving yards is at 55.5. That is just too low for me not to put like 500. I was thinking about this. If I empty the bank account, empty the clip on Garrett Wilson's receiving yards, and it hits. We're back. We're pretty much back to even on the year. I'm so confident in it too. The fact that that's a real thought is probably concerning. I should consider calling the number. Not going to do that. We will be putting a hefty wager on Garrett Wilson's passing odds. That might be my only action this weekend because I can't afford to put it on anything else until it hits. And then the 4 o'clock slate, forget about it if it hits. I'm telling you, that is my favorite fucking play, dude. Favorite 55.5 yards. Are you fucking kidding me? If you listen to yesterday's episode, you know how free that is. How free, or yesterday's episode, if you're listening on if you're listening on YouTube, you're probably so confused. But I record the first part. That's why I'm in a different show. I record the first part of the YouTube video on Thursday, second part on Friday. So it's two different podcast episodes combined into one NFL preview episode on YouTube. That's the thing. Either way, who was I looking up here? Shit, what was his name? Jacob Martin, the defensive end. How many sacks does this guy have on the year? It's got to be at least 3. He has 3.5, and I'm pretty sure at least two of them came in the last 2 games. I think he got 2 of them against the Chiefs. It was Jalen Moore for the Chiefs because Josh Simmons was out. He had 2 against the Chiefs. That was it. Okay, now he didn't do anything against the Seahawks. Shout out to Seattle Seahawks offense because they have been electric. Sam Darnold's only been sacked 9 times. That's near the bottom of the NFL. So their offensive line has been electric. The Commanders, or excuse me, not the Commanders. The Cardinals' pass rush has been good too, though, so we'll see. With Walter Nolan back, especially, that's irrelevant. Lions, Commanders, Lions cover 7.5. Goff with time is elite. The Commanders are allowing 7.7 yards per pass attempt. That's the most in the NFL. They have one of the worst pass defenses in football. And Marshawn Lattimore has been bad. So, I mean, him being out doesn't really hurt them, I guess, but it's probably not helpful to have your veteran corner out. Yeah, all over the Lions in this one as well. Not good. We're taking 3 favorites in the home slate. Taking the Lions -7.5, the Seahawks -7.5, and then we're taking the Rams -4.5. It's not ideal. That's not ideal, but that's what I like, man. That's what I like. That's what we're gonna go with. So yeah, Rams at Niners. No clue who the starting quarterback is for the 49ers. Frankly, I don't care. The steel curtain would have trouble stopping this Rams offense, and the 49ers have a bottom 10 passing attack, or bottom 10 passing defense. Puka Nacua off the injury report. The last time these two played, the 49ers really couldn't stop the Rams. It went into overtime. If you remember, it was that Thursday night football game. Mac Jones went off. Kendrick Bourne went absolutely nuclear. The 49ers were so beat up. They were 7.5 point dogs. They ended up winning outright in LA. I don't think that's the case here. Matt Stafford absolutely cooked the 49ers last time he played them. They've only gotten more injured. They've only gotten worse in terms of their pass rush. Matt Stafford with time with these DBs in Detroit or in San Fran against Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, not ideal. And this Rams defense has also been absolutely electric. Everybody wants to talk about the Rams offense and Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford. Nobody wants to talk about how good this Rams defense has been. They're top 5 in yards allowed per pass attempt, top 10 in yards allowed per carry. They're top 10 in turnovers, top 5 in sacks, top 10 in pressure rate. This defense has been great, dare I say elite. And I think they don't get gashed the way that they did on Thursday Night Football a month ago against the San Francisco 49ers team. I love the Rams -4.5 here. I think Matthew Stafford's going to have a good day. And that was the only time the Rams have allowed a 300-yard passer this season. It was Mac Jones on that Thursday Night Football game. So I like the Rams to cover 4.5 here, pretty soundly. I think they could win by a couple of touchdowns. I'm not buying this 49ers team, really. Sorry if it sounded muffled. I had an itch in my eye. It's just fucking bothering me. Okay. I feel like these Friday episodes, I don't give you guys that much energy because it's just like the end of the week and I'm tired of talking all day, even though I'm going to go live again tomorrow. I'm going to go live again on Sunday morning, so make sure you guys are tapped in. I'm going to go live Saturday night. I'm going to go live. Literally, I'm going to go live Friday night, tomorrow night, hop in. I'm going to go live Saturday night. I'm going to go live Sunday before the NFL games. That was very active, this Sunday before the NFL games last week, so I'm going to try and go live on them during the fourth quarter of the London game, or not even the London game, the Berlin game, and then go live from like 11:30 until kickoff. Go live again after the 4 o'clocks are over, and then go live again after Sunday Night Football and absolutely lock in. So make sure you guys hop over to the TikTok, bro. The lives have been getting active. The chat's been absolutely electric. So hop over to the TikTok. Fire Sports Takes on TikTok. Lock it in. The TikTok has some traction, fellas. The TikTok has some real traction. We had 2,000 followers on trade deadline day. We're already at like 2150, 2140 around there and counting. So the views have been down, which makes no sense because I was like looking back and in like June, July, August, I was getting 1,000 a video pretty routinely. All of a sudden, they just disappeared. I think they changed the algorithm, which is fine. Doesn't matter. We're gonna keep throwing darts at the board here. We're gonna keep posting. It's been a while since we did a 10K video. Probably the longest drought in a little bit. Not worried about it. Not worried about it. I had like 400 people in a live on Wednesday, so we were cooking with some gas here, fellas. We're cooking with some gas. Okay, Sunday Night Football. Steelers at Chargers. I'm taking the Steelers in this game. The Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. The Steelers' defensive line just embarrassed the Colts. Embarrassed the Colts. They were the number one offense in football. The Steelers' defense stepped up in a major way. They moved Jamal Adams. They moved Jalen Ramsey to safety. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith making plays. Jack Sawyer making plays. Peyton Wilson making plays. This defense looked incredible, and Michael Pittman still had 100 yards. So as good as this front seven is, and this front seven is very good in Pittsburgh, when they play up to their potential, and they like to take weeks off, but I'm going to bet that this Steelers defense can win this game for them against the Chargers offensive line that is just depleted. They're on third and fourth string tackles out there. Justin Herbert's going to be running for his life. Joe Alt got hurt against the Giants, came back 2 weeks ago. They were 1-3 while Joe Alt, since that Giants game before Joe Alt came back. So he is a huge part of this Chargers offense. He is really he was their offensive line in a sense. He was their offensive line. They were already without Rashawn Slater. Bozeman's been beat up. Mekhi Becton's been beat up. This Chargers offensive line, the way it is currently with all the injuries, is not going to be able to block this defensive line. At least one would think. But T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, they love to take games off. I hope this isn't one of those instances. I hope they found something with their run defense as well, which has also been wildly inconsistent so far this year. Not that it matters, because Kamani Vidal just got absolutely shut down a week ago by the Tennessee Titans defense, and they stink. So it's got to be the Steelers on the money line in this game. I just don't trust the Chargers at all down the stretch, especially offensively with how their O-line is currently constructed with all the injuries, and I don't trust their defense either. They're allowing 4.9 yards per carry. That's the sixth highest in the NFL, and the Jaylen Warren has been very efficient at times this season. So I like the Steelers running game. The Steelers offensive line is built to run block more than it is in pass pro, so maybe the Chargers D-line can disrupt Aaron Rodgers a little bit, but he does get the ball out incredibly fast. The Chargers corners aren't exactly elite. Not that it matters because the Steelers receivers aren't that elite, but Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out faster than anybody in the league. So I like the Steelers to cover. I like the Steelers plus 2.5, but I do see a path here. I feel like a genius I drew up a Chargers game plan. Okay. If the Chargers want to beat the Steelers, if the Chargers want to counteract that pass rush, because it's going to be coming. Joe Alt, no Slater. It's going to be coming. It's got to be a lot of Keenan Allen, a lot of Ladd McConkey on the early downs. Use like quick outs and slant them to death. That is what Keenan Allen made a career on a little bit, is his slants and the speed outs. The quick passing game, bring the offense in a little bit, and then they were taking deep shots to Mike Williams. They were taking deep shots to Keenan Allen too. That was the offense in LA in the late 2010s. That was the offense. That was the offense early this year. Dink and dunk, Keenan Ladd, Quinn Johnson over the top. That's what it's got to be for the Steelers this week. They got to run the ball a little bit. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball too efficiently, but then once they dink and dunk their way down the field a little bit, get that ball out of Herbert's hand fast, Keenan Allen, quick slant, Ladd McConkey, speed out, 3-yard run on 3rd and 1 for a first down with Kamani Vidal, 5-yard counter with Vidal, 3-yard quick out to Keenan, 3-yard quick slant to Ladd McConkey. Just do that to death on offense. That's got to be the recipe for success. And then once we get later into the game, it's got to be a lot of play action. Quentin Johnston, double move. Ladd McConkey, double move. I'm talking double sluggos and then Z-spot, if you know that play in college football, where it's like the guy in the slot runs a crosser, stops in the middle of the field, and then goes up the middle. It's like he stutters in the middle of the field and then goes vertical up the seam. So you literally got slant and goes all over the place. Double move them to death after hitting them with quick passing game, couple Gadsden hitches, stuff like that. Get this defense playing up. This defense can't cover in man-to-man, so they are aggressive as well, especially if you have a guy like Jalen Ramsey playing the free safety position. At least that's what it says on the depth chart. I'm pretty sure he was lining up around the box a good amount. But if he plays in that free safety position, he is a very aggressive player. You run double moves at Jalen Ramsey, take advantage of his aggressiveness after you establish the quick passing game, the early down run game, and get this thing going. The quick passing game, the screen game has to be all an extension of the run game. Get this defense creeping up. Get Joey Porter Jr. trying to jump some stuff. Get Jalen Ramsey trying to jump some stuff. You don't really have to try and get Darius Slay to jump any routes because he just is garbage. You could just run right past him at this point. He's basically in a wheelchair at this point. He needs to go and start collecting his Social Security and fuck off to Florida, to Jupiter, Florida, or where's my grandma live? Vero Beach, Florida, with all the old heads. That's where Darius Slay needs to go. I'm telling you that. I feel like I just drew up a phenomenal offensive game plan for the Los Angeles Chargers. I really think I did. Because that move to the Jalen Ramsey move to free safety worked last week because the Colts probably weren't expecting it. Now they have a game's worth of tape on Jalen Ramsey at that safety position, and I think Jalen Ramsey is a tremendous player. I think that was a smart move by Tomlin. It says free safety on the depth chart. I have to go and watch that Colts game again and watch some highlights. Like I feel like he's not a guy that could play like the deep half or the deep third or over the middle of the field. Like he's a guy that I feel like if you're putting him at safety, you're gonna want him around the box because of how good of a tackler he is. He's good enough to play the free safety position as well. He is a versatile, smart, high IQ football player, but he is very aggressive. And I think you just double move this guy to death. And they don't even run a lot of zone either. So they run a lot of man to man. Keenan Allen and Ladd are going to eat up man to man, especially in the quick passing game. That's her. Keenan made a career out of that the last decade. Quick outs and slants. That's him and Phillip Rivers. That's what like third and Keenan. That's what it was. So I think that is the recipe for success for the Chargers. A lot of early down quick passes, get the run game going, and then get into some play action double moves down the field. It doesn't even have to be play action. Just like shift the pass pro to the left to get some designed rollouts for Herbert so he has an extra second or two, and then unleash some bombs to QJ, Ladd, or Keenan. Keenan can still stretch the field. Don't get it mixed up. Like, he's one of the best route runners in football, even at the age of 72. So, yeah. It's got real unction. Again, Darius Slay on Keenan Allen is a real blast from the past here, fellas. So that's where we're going. We're gonna go with the now that I laid out my game plan, I kind of want to take the Chargers. Then that's taking 4 favorites in this episode, and that doesn't sit right with me. No, we're taking the Steelers because I don't know if even that is enough for this for the Steelers pass rush not to wreck the game. And the Steelers just create turnovers. They're very good at creating turnovers. Wouldn't be surprised. Justin Herbert has had some bad interceptions this year too, especially last week against the Chargers. You can't play like the way they started against the Chargers or against the Titans, excuse me. They can't do that against the Steelers. All right, let's talk some sharps, Hunter. This video, this podcast is brought to you by sharphunter.app. If you want to know where the sharp money is, you need to go to sharphunter.app and use code FIRE50 to get 50% off. What it does is it takes into account all of the public money, sees which bettors are the best, where they're putting their money on this week, and it ranks it. The model ranks it in a score of money bags. The more money bags, the better. The best NFL bet per Sharp app this week. I'll give you this one for free, but if you want to get access to where all the Sharp money is, go to sharphunter.app and use code FIRE50 for 50% off your first month. All of the Sharp money is on the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football with a 2 money bag score. They are rolling with the public in this one with 73% of the money, 58% of the bet on the Steelers as well. This makes a lot of sense. This Chargers offensive line is absolutely eviscerated. No Joe Alt, no Rashawn Slater, obviously. Bozeman and Mekhi Becton have been banged up as well. And this Chargers team, when Joe Alt went down against the Giants, they were 1-3 without him. Makes an incredible difference, especially when you have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith. This Steelers pass rush that's coming off their best game of the season. They forced 5 or 6 turnovers against the Colts. Daniel Jones turned the ball over 5 times. They sacked Daniel Jones more than he's gotten sacked all season. This was the best one of the best offensive lines in football that the Steelers D-line just eviscerated. So I got to ride with the Sharps here. Makes a lot of sense that they're all over Pittsburgh plus the points and maybe even on the money line a little bit. So ride with the Steelers. Another good bet. Let's see what else. And they got the Sharps are all over. The Sharps are riding with the public here. Now that I'm looking at this, that's not true. The public's on the Jags. The Sharps are on the Texans. I'm not going to give you all of them because you got to use Fire50 on sharphunter.app. It says on here that they have like college football, but I don't see any college football plays on here, so I don't know what that's all about. Here, let me just hit the all button and see what we got on here. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.